So you're running a small business and wondering, when do I need to register for GST? So here's the thing, GST unfortunately isn't optional once your turnover reaches the threshold, and not knowing the rules can really land you in hot water with the ATO. In this video, you're going to learn the exact rules around when you must register for GST in Australia, the hidden benefits of registering early, even before you're required, and the downside of voluntary registration, so you know both sides. And how to choose between cash versus accrual for GST reporting. If you don't know, GST stands for Goods and Services Tax. It's a 10% tax added to most goods and services in Australia. You collect it from your customers and then pass it on to the ATO, usually every quarter. But here's the catch, not every business needs to register for GST, and that's where the confusion begins. You must register if your business turnover is over $75,000 per year. That's before GST. If you're a not-for-profit, the threshold is $150,000. And if you provide taxi or rideshare services like Uber, you must register from $1. There is no threshold. Now, here's the thing that most people get wrong. The $75,000 isn't about your profit. It's about the gross business income. That's all of the money coming in before your expenses. I can't tell you how many times I've heard, but my profit is only $30,000. Surely I don't need to register for GST. Look, sorry, I don't make the rules. If your gross income is over $75,000 for the year, even if your profit is tiny, and even if you make a loss, you must register. Let's now take a look at what happens if you don't register. That's where it gets scary. What if you don't register when you should? The ATO can backdate your registration. That means that you'll owe GST on all your past sales, even if you didn't charge your customers for it. Imagine this, you had a turnover of $100,000 and you didn't add GST to the invoices. And then the ATO says, you should have been registered. That's a $9,090 GST bill that you have to pay out of your own pocket. For a lot of small businesses, that's enough to be a very big problem. Let me tell you about one of our clients. Let's call him Dave. Dave ran a small landscaping business. He thought GST didn't matter until he made real money. Problem was, his invoices added up quickly. By the time he came to me, his turnover was well past $100,000. The ATO had already called on and backdated his GST registration. Dave owed over $15,000 in GST that he never collected. He was gutted. I'll never forget him saying, I thought I was saving time by avoiding GST, but it nearly put me under. We registered him correctly and set up quarterly BAS, and within a year he was on top again. But that initial pain could have been avoided with one simple step, registering when required. Next, let me show you the GST workflow. Say your business turnover is $100,000. You add GST to invoices, so you've collected $110,000 from your clients. But you've also bought $33,000 of business supplies that included $3,000 GST. On your BAS, you report both. You claim back the $3,000, report the $10,000, and then send the net $7,000 to the ATO the first time. That's the cycle. You correct GST for the ATO, claim back the credits, and pay the difference. Now, not everything has GST added. Some things are GST-free, like basic unprocessed food, and medical services are GST-free. And so is childcare and some education. And some things are input taxed, like financial services. Also, residential rent is input taxed. Here's something you might not expect. Sometimes it's smart to register before you get to the $75,000 threshold, and here's why. You can claim GST credits on business purchases. Buy a new phone for $1,100, you can claim back $100. You look more professional. Larger clients often expect GST registered invoices, and it sets you up for better cash flow habits right from the start. One of my startup clients told me registering early felt like I was running a real business, not just a side hustle. But a quick caution here, registering before you have to also means more admin. BAS lodgements, record keeping, and ATO deadlines. For some micro businesses, that's extra hassle. So weigh it up. Consider the benefits versus the extra admin. Next, we look at cash versus accrual. Here's the thing. When you register, you also need to choose how to report GST, cash or accrual. On the cash basis, you only pay GST to the ATO when you actually receive payment from your clients. It's great for cash flow. On accruals basis, you pay GST based on invoices issued, even if the clients haven't paid yet. Most small businesses choose cash. It avoids paying GST on money you haven't received. But if your turnover exceeds $10 million, you must use the accruals basis. Now, what if you're under $75,000 now, but later your sales tick up? The rule is you must register within 21 days of crossing the threshold. That's the monthly threshold of $6,250, unless you've got a very good reason for thinking that that's cyclical. And once you're registered, you need to issue proper tax invoices with your ABN and GST clearly shown. Next, we'll look at pricing and customers. One fear that I hear all the time is, if I add GST, my customers will leave. Here's the reality. If your customers are businesses themselves, they usually claim GST back, so it makes no difference to them. For households, yes, prices are 10% higher, and you may need to phase in that 10% increase. But being GST registered often builds trust. It signals you're serious and established. Now we'll take a look at how to register. First, log on to the Australian Business Register, or alternatively, you can phone the ATO on 132861. And failing that, you can ask your accountant to lodge your registration. And a quick note, this is of course general advice only. Everyone's business is different. Always ask your tax professional for assistance. And if you're one of our clients, let's chat about this in your next complimentary tax time meeting, or book a time to chat if you're looking for clarity now. Drop a comment below. Are you registered for GST or are you still thinking about it? I'd love to hear your story. And don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and do sign up for our free weekly YouTube business tips. The link is in the description. Every week I release a new video with practical tips to help small business just like yours. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you next time.